But yeah, a little bit later in the episode, we're going to be joined by Scotty Hoek.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a huge Ren and Stimpy fan, and I found him on YouTube through his YouTube channel, which you can check it out. It's called Scotty Hoek, and he's got it seems to be to me the world's largest Ren and Stimpy memorabilia collection.
I can't imagine anybody having like half of the collection that he has. I didn't know there was that much stuff.
Oh, I know, and
Ren and Stimpy related.
Not only that, but he's got like doubles of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be pretty interesting, man. I'm psyched just to. Ren and Stimpy was always one of those shows where I wanted to get merchandise from it. Like, I would love to have a pair of slippers or even pajama pants, but you don't even see any of that stuff.
No, it's long gone. I feel like I used to see an occasional thing here at like Spencer's or something, but not anymore, man. Long gone.
I remember the only real piece besides like having like VHS tapes, like SNCC VHS tapes with Roundhouse on it or something, was I had like two Hardee's Happy Meal toys that were just like little race cars of Ren and Stimpy. But so we're gonna get in depth in his collection and see what he's got going on, and probably just talk about the history of the show.
That's right. I guess he must be an expert, man.
I would imagine
he had in that video. He had like, what was it, like the whole upper floor of his home?
Yeah.
Was completely Ren and Stimpy memorabilia.
He had a pretty badass third-story loft that was just all Ren and Stimpy shit, man. It was badass looking.
It's impressive. I wish I had that much shit of anything that I was obsessed with.
Can you think of anything that you would be obsessed with enough that you would want to dedicate that much room in your home to it, and just like always the chase to get this new thing?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I love Harry Potter and I loved Lord of the Rings when it was going on, but to be that obsessed with it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder how much time that must consume a lot of his time.
Well, I had a brief conversation with him before. He'll probably get into it in the interview, but I don't really think he spent that long on building that massive collection.
Really?
I don't think he's dedicated really maybe a couple years at the most, but it's not like a lifelong thing.
I mean, I guess if you just like go home and pop on eBay or something and you see something and you bid on it, it's not like that's going to take 5 hours or something.
Right.
All right.
Someone like me, though, I have all the DVDs, and I've seen all the episodes countless times, and I've watched, documentaries and whatever. I feel like I know the history of the show and all the bullshit that has gone on, and a bunch of, rivalries between actors and that type of thing. And then you run into a guy like Scotty, who has all this stuff, and then you know that he's already heard everything that you know, and he probably knows a lot more,
He knows the deep cuts. Yeah.
So, you got into Ren and Stimpy as a kid, didn't you? Like, at all?
Yeah, I did. I watched it a lot. It was one of my. I think we probably have that same thing, which is like we like strange humor or just off the wall weird stuff that would make like normal people be like, "Wait, what?" So that always appealed to me a whole lot when I was a kid watching Ren and Stimpy. Just this twisted humor. I remember my folks not liking it though. Not like they would watch it and I think they could just see that it was something really weird and twisted.
Yeah.
So that they kind of didn't like me watching it, but I still watched it anyway.
Wow. Was there ever a time where your mom was like, "Really? Like you don't have to watch this show if you don't want to," or where she tried to get you not to watch it?
No, it was more like she'd walk in the room and look at the television for a few seconds and be like, "Really? Is this what you're watching?"
And then it was the one where Stimpy would like flip over the piano bench and the booger collection, was all talking to him and stuff. Do you have any memories of any episodes or any scenes that stick out in your head?
What about when when Stimpy? I forgot what they're doing. They're packaging his hairballs to sell, and so he's like licking himself. That's like becomes his job to lick himself and to make hairballs. And at some point, he's licked himself completely bald. I remember Ren's like this awful like slave driver,
like a slave monger, or whatever. Yeah. I remember that episode. I guess there was some went on where cat hair is. Well, it starts off with just hairballs all over the house, and Ren is just sick of it. And then he just hears a news flash all of a sudden that hairballs are now more they're worth more than gold now. So then he sees dollar signs in his eyes, so he tries to use Stimpy to his fullest advantage. And after Stimpy licks himself clean, they bring in like the big fat prison guy, like the big fat prison dude that's like 12 feet tall. Yeah. He's got a big hairy back, so they start licking that guy. But I don't know, a lot of good memories, man.
Hello, boys and girls. This here's a true story that we just made up.
Captain's log. Cadet Stimpy and I have been stranded on the planet Ball Knob for the last 36 years. Our supplies are dangerously low, and we've had to breathe ammonia these last 18 years. Fortunately, we had to eat what was left of the ship. At least the voices have stopped for a while. But I suspect I can no longer turn my back on Cadet Stimpy. The rigors of space travel have somehow twisted his mind. He's gone crazy. He's got the space madness.
All right, friends and family, we're back here on the Complete Sentences podcast. For anyone out there who has listened to more than one episode of our show here, you probably know that the second segment is usually whenever we are joined by a guest. Today we have a very special guest, someone that I've been really looking forward to having an interview with, and we've been trying to make it work. We finally found the time today, so I'm pretty psyched. His name is Scotty Hoek. He runs a YouTube channel called Scotty Hoek. And he has probably the world's largest Ren and Stimpy memorabilia collection. I mean, the collection is just massive. Things that you didn't even know that they made. Besides Ren and Stimpy slippers, the old Saturday Night Snick VHS tapes, even down to birthday party sets. Some really awesome things that filled his entire third story of his house. It's pretty amazing. He has a video up on his YouTube channel. So, I guess it's safe to say this is a man who has whizzed on the electric fence on more than one occasion and has lived to tell about it. So, extremely excited here. Hey, Scotty, are you there?
What's up, you idiots?
Oh my god, he's got the Ren voice down and everything.
Oh, I got my moments.
Yeah. So,
when you become infatuated with something for over 20 years, you start picking up little tidbits here and there. So
I've tried to do like the Ren Peter Lorre voice, but I can't do it.
Yeah, you have to get low and wispy and make it sound like almost sneaky.
Yeah. I know you probably tried a Larry Fine type Stimpy voice, right?
I have, and it's wretched. I won't lie, but it's not as good as the Ren, but and I don't know if I can do it because I'm kind of congested from climate change, but something like hey Ren.
Wow, that's pretty good, man.
That's about as close as I can get right there.
Thanks so much for calling in, man.
No sweat.
Yeah, I've been excited to talk to you for a while. Anybody that I can really talk to about Ren and Stimpy without them looking at me like I'm, mentally insane is pretty cool.
Well, they're few and far between, dude. That's one of those shows that, if you were there and in the moment, you saw the beauty of it and everything. And if you saw it at a later date, whenever, you've already been tuned into all the stuff that they come out with now, you're not gonna get it as much. But right whenever they put it out, and you were there to witness it, especially with everything that was going on in the world, it was just brilliant, dude. Brilliant. And a lot of people picked up on that.
And for that to be aired on Nickelodeon at the time, and it just seemed like everything fell into place, and that's something that could not be recreated, in this day and age, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, even today, a lot of the shows, like South Park and Family Guy and stuff like that, they owe their entire existence to a road paving show like that, because it was getting away with crap in the 90s that, I mean, we were listening to Belle Biv DeVoe then, man. I mean, it was a different world.
Right.
That everything's less taboo now, so, it's a lot easier to get away with this, that, and the other. This was early 90s where, the rules on public broadcasting were a lot stricter.
Mm-hmm. And even some of the stuff that they did back then, I could still see them getting like head turns, even like from South Park. Like, you don't see people like Wilbur Cobb that are just being decapitated, you know, like their ears are falling off and they're just like they're lepers on screen. Like you still don't see a lot of things like that going on that they were pulling off back then.
Yeah, I've yet to see a show to this date flip over a piano bench with a string load of boogers on the bottom of it. Top that.
So all right, we'll get into. I want to talk about your collection because I didn't even realize that there was that much Ren and Stimpy memorabilia in the world.
All right.
But we'll get started on just some of the things that have, I guess, drawn you into the show. Do you remember your first memory of Ren and Stimpy?
Indeed, I do. Now, I wish I had a more poignant story to tell, but to be honest, I discovered Ren and Stimpy and weed on the same day.
Wow.
and they went so well together. It's like Oreos and milk. They're great apart. You put them together, and that is like orgasmic dynamite. and I found them both on the same day, dude, and they just went so well together. And they still do to this day.
Do you remember the episode?
It was In the Army Now.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And then I tell you what, all it took was for Ren to go crazy after getting no sleep, and you knew that was a good cartoon right there.
Another good one is Hermit Ren. If you watch whenever he has his little freak out in the cave.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Totally. His psychotic moments are indeed one of the best points of the show.
Would you consider that, I guess, your favorite episode, or do you have a favorite?
I would have to say my favorite episode, and I hate to run along with everybody else, but Space Madness is just really awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is just a great episode. And as a matter of fact, if you watch that video of my collection, an item that I purchased recently isn't in that video, but there was an artist in New Jersey, I believe, who died in 2010 of cancer. And he was known for painting like Star Wars and Star Trek oil paintings and stuff like that. Well, I guess one of his favorite episodes was Space Madness from Ren and Stimpy. And he did it's like a 2-foot by 3-foot oil painting of just a bunch of the character poses from that episode. And, it's all Ren and Stimpy, all in their Space Madness gear. And I found it on eBay a while back, and it was like an outrageous price. And I just sat there and waited and kept talking to the guy, showing him my collection, trying to get the price down and everything. And I ended up getting it for a really good price. And I don't know where I was going with that, but really cool painting. But that's one of my favorite episodes of Space Madness, and it just turns out that this painting that I picked up was one from my favorite episodes. So.
That's awesome. I could probably see like Ren in the tub with the soap bar, like when he's pointing at Stimpy. That's probably one of the main parts from the episode that people would try to capture.
Oh yeah, I've got a picture library, which is pretty much just all the pictures I used from that video, and some other older ones. But the pictures of that painting are in that library and everything, and it's got 30 different paired poses of all of them. It's really cool. All the cool scenes where they're looking, so unlike Ren and Stimpy. It's got all those painted on there. It's really cool.
I remember you probably have the production music, the 3 CD, set that they put out.
I have like the musical CDs. I don't have the production CD. I have copies of them, which I stole off the internet.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have them. I haven't found them yet. That. For a price I wanted to pay for them. So, and there's enough of them where I haven't really been in a rush to get them.
Well, I remember how psyched I was whenever I first got a copy of it, and I was playing it. I realized, so much of the music, like the intro to Space Madness, I found. Let me see if I can pull it up. They had such brilliant music on that show, man.
Oh yeah, spine-tingling toast. yeah, the music on that is just, it's like what they did with Bugs Bunny. Just not really matching the mood of what's going on. They're just using old classical themed music, really, but just in a in just such perfect, I don't know, parallel with what you're watching. They just fit so well together. And that's what they do with the old cartoons. You know, they didn't have, you know, just music that was going along with the action or whatever. They just pretty much string the action along to the music, which worked out great.
And it so like encapsulates whenever there's like a really like scene where Ren is supposed to be going mad, they'll play some old like beautiful classical music or something, and it just so fits perfectly in there.
Oh yeah, well, whenever Ren goes nuts, I mean the music fits that they play. I mean, it's so dark. You know, it takes you to a whole nother place. You're like inside this dude's wig, going crazy with him. It gives you that feel. You know, just that musical tone while you're watching him. You know, go berserk. You know, it just puts you right in there. You're going nuts with him. You're like, oh, this music makes me feel kind of crazy.
I tell you, I can't stand it. I am going mad.
I know the entire story of what went on behind the scenes with John K. and Nickelodeon and all that stuff. What are some of your feelings, I guess, on John K. getting the boot pretty much after the first season?
Well, I guess my take is pretty. I know just as much as what everybody else knows. So chances are I know the exact same story that you know. And this is what I have to say. Nickelodeon should have, you know, been a little bit more lenient with John. John should have produced, you know, what Nickelodeon was expecting. I mean, you know, one hand washes the other. It can't be all somebody's fault.
Right.
You know, they were both thrown into that stew right there. So I mean, you know, John should have lived up to his end of the bargain. Nickelodeon should have realized what they had and let him do it, but just, you know, making sure that he produced results. And you know, as far as the whole Billy West staying behind thing, you know, there again, I'm on the fence. I understand, you know, you got to have a job. You know, there are no friends when it comes to paying rent. But, you know, John went on to do other things and everything, and who knows, with Billy with him, he could have done, you know, spectacular things. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. You never know. So it is what it is. Played out how it played out. You know, I don't really dwell too much on that. You know, I think it had a good enough run because, I mean, really, I'm a fan of the first two seasons, you know, to the core. I like the other three seasons, and I like the adult party cartoon and everything, but the first two seasons, whenever, you know, they had that working formula, that's what I'm a fan of right there.
Yeah, and those are definitely the greatest episodes, but I feel like after they booted Spumco and then they got Games Animations in, which is basically a Nickelodeon run production company to finish the last however many seasons were left of the show.
Right.
I feel like they still went, like, they tried to go even a little bit deeper than what John K. was doing, and how they didn't end up getting censored and losing their jobs is beyond me, because like I said, they went above and beyond, you know, with a lot of the gross out stuff.
Well, yeah, but see, whenever you're doing that, it's easy to do that when it's yours. When it's someone else's creation and they're doing the work for you, you know, then you want to put some shackles on them and make it more yours than it is theirs, which is, you know, basically what they were doing. They were telling him, you know, you got to do this, you got to do that, and we want it by a certain date or whatever. Well, they ended up meeting their own deadlines, but then they were doing, you know, basically the same thing he was trying to pull off, you know, with no reprimand. So, you know, that really isn't that fair, I don't think.
Right. And you're right too. Games was probably, I mean, they were obviously working with Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon was probably giving them ideas on things to take out, and they would probably take it out of the show. I could see if they came up to John K. and they were like, "Hey, remove this, don't whiz on the electric fence thing." John would be like, "No, fuck you, that's staying in there. We need that."
Right. You know, Nickelodeon would have came out in season 4 and said, "Don't pee on the hardwired picket fence." You know,
Yeah.
you know, they would have done the same thing, just changed subtly on their own terms, and you know that would have been okay with them.
Right.
But the fact that they were just trying to, you know, hold the reins on an uncontrollable pony, you know, because if you ever seen any interviews with John K, it's fucking berserk. But,
oh, he is, man. He's all excited and look just like he's coked up or something. He would be crazy to have a conversation with.
he's one of them dudes that, I mean, if you've heard him tell the stories of him growing up and everything, I mean, I really don't think that there's any fake bones in that man's body. I think you know how he presents himself is how he is, and on a lot of his interviews, he seems like a prick, and I'm sure there's many times where that dude can be an asshole, but it's not really about his personal character. It's about his brilliant creation, and that's what everybody seem to forget in the whole wash is, don't judge the man, judge his art. They were bleeding one into the other.
And he knows what he wants, and he's definitely a genius. I know if I had him working for a company that I ran, I would just let him go nuts. I wouldn't try to stop him from doing anything.
Yeah, there's some things that are better left unfiltered, and I seriously think he's one of them.
So you mentioned the Ren and Stimpy Adult Party cartoon. For any listeners that don't know, that was the revival that Spike gave John K. to come on and make new episodes of Ren and Stimpy, I guess the way he wanted to.
I think that's what he says, but I don't think that's what he means, because I think he was trying to go back and do what he was doing, but his whole element was different. The people that were working on the show, a lot of the people that were working on the show were different. Of course the voice acting was different. And I think Eric Balzer did a great job, doing a makeshift Stimpy voice and everything, but he's not Billy West.
I know. That was one of the biggest downfalls too, is that it was so painfully obvious that it was a different Stimpy voice. I mean, in return, we got the original Ren with John K. doing the voice acting, but we lost Stimpy.
Right, and just like the regular dialogue, it wasn't that noticeable. But the crying was a dead giveaway, and it's just because I'm so deep into it that I'll, pinpoint these little nitpick pieces of shit. Like whenever Stimpy was crying, Stimpy don't cry like that.
Right.
it just, and I still enjoyed them. I thought they're, against everybody else's opinion, I still think they're all really good cartoons. They're just not, the cartoons that I fell in love with, but they're still good cartoons.
Right. And I feel the same way. I'll still go back and watch them every once in a while, but like I was telling, I've used this analogy before, but once you're hooked on the show and it goes away for a while, it's like you just need to get your fix. If they bring back Adult Party cartoon, you're gonna watch it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not gonna be like the first time that you ever got high on this drug of Ren and Stimpy, but it's gonna get your fix for a while.
Nobody went and saw Star Wars: The Phantom Menace because it was a great film.
Exactly.
They waited 15 years to see some Star Wars, and hell or high water, they were going to go see it, no matter if it sucked or not.
Exactly. All right, let's get into this collection of yours, man. First thing I want to know is, I would love to have either just an autograph or like a hand-drawn like doodle or something by John K. Do you have anything like that in your collection?
I've got his autograph twice. I've got one on just like a piece of just small autograph paper, and then I've got another autograph from John K. on the issue number 1 of the Powdered Toast Man comic book.
Oh, that's sweet, man.
And I've got a Billy West autograph on a Palisades Fire Dog set, and I've got Jim Smith's autograph on another piece of autograph paper, which he did a little doodle of Jimmy the Idiot Boy.
So where did you like see these guys? Did you go meet them in person then?
No, to be honest, dude, 90% of that shit, 95%, I would say, I picked up on eBay.
Really?
I mean, you don't go to flea markets and see Ren and Stimpy stuff really too heavy. It's definitely not in stores. Whenever they were coming out with all the merchandise, I was, probably 22, 23 years old and just got into the bar scene. I'm a bartender, so, I was drinking heavy and didn't have time for that kind of nonsense. So, but now now I'm on the, the back slope of 40. I got time to sit around and collect dusty old shit. So, the collection is actually in itself only 3 years old.
Wow.
I started 3 years ago. That tells you how much the country sucks. I had nothing to do in the sticks except shop on eBay.
Well, there are worse things to be doing, man. I mean, that's a pretty sweet collection you have there. What was your first piece of memorabilia or the first thing that started this collection that led you into like I got to get everything now?
Well, it like most things, and especially media-based things like TV shows or cartoons or whatever. It all started with the DVDs whenever they started releasing the DVD box sets, like in 2004, 2003, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up the DVD box sets, and I had a huge DVD collection, so I washed all those out, and the only thing I kept was my Ren and Stimpy box set, just because I never grow tired of that show. I could watch the same episode 24 hours a day for a week straight and never get tired of it. And those were the only DVDs that I hung on to, and I was sitting around browsing eBay looking for some video games because I play a good deal of PlayStation games, and started looking for Ren and Stimpy stuff just because I saw I think it was like a Ren and Stimpy Super Nintendo game or something like that, and I was like, oh, let me just Google Ren and Stimpy, or eBay search Ren and Stimpy, see what all there is, and I was amazed. I didn't know they had all the stuff that they had.
I mean, you got slippers. I would love to have a pair of Ren slippers. That would be awesome.
Those were I had those back in '94. I bought those at Spencer's Gifts in the mall whenever I used to travel around. And I wore those things for a decade, dude, and they were just so beat I had to throw them out. Never thought I'd find another pair. And I ended up finding two pair in about a year span, and I bought them both because they were both new and unworn.
Were they Rens or Stimpies, and which ones did you prefer?
They actually come in a set of one Ren and one Stimpy, so you're walking around like a doofus with two different shoes on. So I wanted to get two pairs, so I actually had a pair of Stimpy slippers or a pair of Ren slippers. I didn't like the fucking mismatch back in '94 whenever I bought them, but I still bought them just because I was a big fan. But whenever the situation arose, I was like, I'm gonna set this shit straight, and I gotta pair these little bastards up because I'm tired of looking like clubfoot bastards, just walking around with one big foot, one tiny skinny foot. It looks ridiculous, but I guess that's all part of the appeal of it.
Yeah, I've never gotten that whole like like a Tom and Jerry type thing. They would release one slipper for each one too. I never got that. That's kind of stupid.
Right.
But
nobody likes Tom and Jerry equally. You're either going for the cat or you're going for the mouse.
Right.
Pick your side.
So is there like a certain piece of the collection that you're on the hunt for, that's the hardest piece you've come across to find?
Not really. There was a book that I got. I mean, really, I could stop buying stuff now and I'd be happy with it. I just like looking at it all. And the pieces that I want, that I grew up with, or that I missed out on, and now I have the chance to own them and stuff like that. Pretty much all that stuff I've got. There's going to be a few oddities here and there. Stuff that I don't have, like Pez dispensers or phone cards or stuff like that. But really, I'm really content at where it's at now.
Yeah.
But I mean, should stuff pop up and I don't have it, it's at a good price or good enough for me, chances are I'll jump on it still. Drop it. What I was getting at is one of the prize collections that I knew that I had to have whenever I saw it pop up on eBay, and I bought it 5 minutes after it was listed. This guy had I guess he bought out an auction estate or something like that, and he had the production book, which is like the guide. If you're gonna make Ren and Stimpy product, you had to adhere by like all the font sets and the images and the color lots and everything that was in this book. So anybody that made Ren and Stimpy merchandise, whether it be Mattel or Dakin, they all had to adhere to these images on the packaging. So I thought that was really cool because I never saw another one of those. I thought that was just really cool.
Man, I've never even heard of anything like that. What's some of the stuff that's in there? I guess like the strange like Ren and Stimpy font that they use, and what other stuff?
Yeah. It has like all the labels, all the tag labels and everything that you would use, like Ren and Stimpy, and then it give you the font and everything. and then it had all these, pretty much just outlined images of all the characters, down to even like, the can of powdered toast or,
A
the
log.
log or something
Yeah.
like that. And it had, a color key saying, if you're going to use this image, it has to be this image, and these are the colors that you have to use for this image. So, it all looks the same across the board. So anybody that was making Ren and Stimpy stuff had to adhere to everything in this guide, which, it's not really, a grand looking piece or nothing like that, but just the fact that, my whole collection is built around merchandise, almost everything that I own, whenever it was sold, the pictures that they used to sell it came from this book.
And it's like, yeah, it's like the blueprint of your whole collection for the most part.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Man.
The marketing blueprint, at least. Yeah.
Have you come across anything that like accidentally or blatantly didn't go by a code, like like Stimpy's nose is green or something, or?
No, because I used to collect video games like heavily, and I was always on the lookout for misprints or botched colors or something like that, because that would add rarity to it just because of a factory fuck up, and I haven't really seen anything as of yet. No big mistakes.
Any Rens with black eyelids?
Probably somewhere around St. Louis, East St. Louis.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
I used to live in Evansville, Indiana, which isn't far from St. Louis, and I used to skip school all the time, go to Busch Stadium, watch baseball games.
Mm-hmm.
I know that area pretty well. St. Louis is pretty scary.
It can be pretty scary if you're downtown, man.
Yeah.
We got into this on our last episode. One of our favorite like indie bands, Black Moth Super Rainbow, came to town, and they were hanging out, and their van got broken into, and more than half of their shit got stolen, so they almost couldn't perform that night. They had to borrow equipment from fans around the area.
Right.
But.
Someone says they saw the cops that did it.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Right.
So yeah, do you have any like of the old? I'm sure you have some of the old like SNCC VHS tapes.
I've got every VHS tape that they released. I've got every DVD that they've released. I've got the laser disc. I've got almost all the cassettes. I've got all the albums. The media is a lock.
Wow.
I've got all the video games except for the one for Sega Master System, which was only released in Brazil, and they want like $100 for the cart on that, and I want it complete, so that might have to go on a back burner.
Anytime, if you're collecting Ren and Stimpy DVDs, anytime that you see someone that has all the box sets plus the Time Life collection, you're pretty sure that they're a real fan of the show.
Yeah, I think I've got 3 sets of the Time Life collection now.
Holy shit.
Two sets I think are still sealed up.
So that's the collection. I mean, you have that YouTube video. If anybody wants to see this collection firsthand, and it is massive. You're on YouTube just as Scotty Hoek, correct? That's your channel?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into a couple more things here. Have you been following any of John K's new work, like the Cans Without Labels?
Yeah, I've been, because I'll go check out his blog spot and everything, and keep tabs on it and everything, and I've been, waiting to see what he's doing with the Cans Without Labels and everything. And I'm a pretty big fan of, his work still, with all the George Liquor and Slab and Ernie and stuff like that, Sody Pop, Jimmy the Idiot Boy, of course,
mm-hmm.
and like even the Ripping Friends, which, I thought that was a great show, which, didn't last long. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it's just pretty much a bunch. You could tell it's all John K. Spunko style, really.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it after I heard a lot of interviews with him whenever they were referring to the Ripping Friends, and I hadn't heard anything about it up until probably about a year ago, but I did. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy anything that's John K. You can tell his work is all the same for the most part.
Oh, and here's the marketing boner on that. John, if you ever listen to this is why I don't feel bad about stealing all 13 episodes of the Ripping Friends off the internet, is because they fucking released a DVD for the Ripping Friends that you might have seen or whatever. It's only got 4 episodes on it, and that's all. That's the only way you can watch it. If you're gonna buy something to enjoy it, you just get a taste of it. You don't get the whole thing that they put out.
Yeah.
They still sell it for $10.
I hate that. I hate that shit, man, because I like to have the full season, and that's like somebody reading your catalog on like the blueprint of merchandise. They're reading like the VHS tape, and they're making a DVD out of the VHS tape for the most part.
You know, you don't hand somebody a copy of War and Peace and just start off saying, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. The end, go play. That's just cartoon blue balls is all that is, really. I mean, it's a great show, but not $2.50 an episode great.
Right, exactly. Did you see any of the merchandise that they were giving away on their Kickstarter for Cans Without Labels? They had some pretty cool shit on there that they were giving out for anybody that donated.
Yeah, it was some pretty cool stuff. And I was watching, I was following Ralph Bakshi. He's coming out with a new movie, and he was pretty much doing the same thing. You know, started thing to get it up and running. And he was throwing out like signed backdrops and stuff like that. If you ever seen Ralph Bakshi art, you know that's some great stuff.
Do you have any of the like background artwork to any of like the scenes on Ren Stimpy?
No, I've got a couple of pages that were from the art department, because there was a lady that lived out in California, and her daughter used to be a production assistant on the show, and she was, I guess, cleaning out her attic or whatever, and came across a whole slew of Ren and Stimpy stuff. So I, I'd asked her to send me pictures of everything she had, and I'd send her an offer on it. And I ended up buying all of her stuff from her, and I ended up getting some, like some stationery from games, animations, desks, and stuff that they made for her while she was moving. The art department just whipped up for her. Just oddball stuff that you wouldn't get unless you were, hanging around the office.
Right. Oh, that's cool, man. I love that kind of shit.
Right. That video didn't really showcase, everything as it should, just because that loft, it was cool and it was big and everything, but I had to pretty much limit myself to shelves, and you can't display everything like you should. I mean, once I get moved and get it all set back up and everything, I'll display it like it should, and it'll grow by twice the size almost.
Oh, that'll be cool, man. I'll look forward to seeing that for sure. Couple more questions. Has anyone ever like given you shit whenever they see like your Ren and Stimpy collection? Like they're like, dude, what's going on here? Like, come on.
I'm sure, after exit, they start raising an eyebrow, going, that fucking dude's whack. I'm 40 and I don't do that, but there again, fuck that.
Exactly.
I'm a 40-year-old man, and it just so happens that the best times of my life were from ages 13 to 18, and I see no reason why I shouldn't be able to, stay in that zone and enjoy my, just because I'm 40 doesn't mean I have to be worried about stock options and what tie to wear to work. And, I like sitting around and eating cereal by the box full and playing video games and watching cartoons. And, that's how I roll.
And I mean, that's the way to live, man. There's nothing wrong with being someone that does something that makes them happy. Not a lot of people do things to make themselves happy anymore. They do things because they feel like, I'm this age, this is what I need to do now.
Yeah, in a world where everyone keeps up with the Joneses, I just move the fuck away from the Joneses. Then you don't have to see what they're doing and keep up with them.
I guess and I did have one other question that I didn't get to. Are there, now, the DVD box sets, they claim to be unedited, but there are obviously edits on the box set, correct? Like on some of the episodes?
Yeah, the only way you're going to get the episodes that you remember seeing that weren't cut, edited, or, some kind of fuckery fell upon them is the VHS tapes. Those are unedited, and the episodes that are on the Laserdisc are unedited. Other than that, you're getting what Nickelodeon wanted the final product to be to, meet their standards. Because it was a release, and it still has on the first and second season still has Spumco and John K on the front and everything, but it's still a Viacom product, and Nickelodeon is Viacom, and Viacom essentially calls the shots, so they're gonna do what they do. It's corporate dickery.
No, such a bummer, man.
Yeah, but yeah, the only way you're gonna get the unedited stuff is either the VHS tapes or the Laserdisc.
All right. Well, I see that you're on some Facebook groups. I'm sure there are a bunch of Ren and Stimpy Facebook groups out there. I know the Loyal Order of Idiots is one of them. I've seen that around.
Right.
But which ones are you in right now that you would recommend people checking out if they're into Ren and Stimpy?
Just one really. There's this chick in England. Her name's Stephanie. She started the Ren and Stimpy Secret Club group on Facebook, and she found me because of that video and invited me to it. And even though I'm a big dork, I've only got like a dozen Facebook friends. so I was like, well, I'll join that group, and there's really a bunch of cool people on there, and they dig up stuff that I'd be interested in, and I share stuff that they might be interested in, and it's really cool because there's not really a lot of places that are still talking about Ren and Stimpy, really.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that their channel their group is pretty much active every day. So a lot of cool people there. They've learned me some stuff, and I've learned them some stuff. Nice little symbiotic circle there.
Right on, man. Yep, that's the best way to find like-minded people now is online. A bunch of people are gonna be whizzing on the electric fence that you'll find on Facebook.
Oh yeah, like there's I can't remember her name, Valkyrie something, but there's a girl on there that used to do production work and background work on the show back in the day. So she was actually selling prints of like the actual Space Madness background scenes and stuff that she did. And, Ask Dr. Stupid, she did a couple of those backgrounds and stuff. Really cool stuff.
Oh man, that's like the holy grail.
Yeah.
And then I saw a video online too of this. There's this guy that likes to. He goes through like old abandoned buildings. Like he pretty much just sneaks in and records like the old whatever stadium is in Florida where the Lakers used to, or where the Heat used to play. But he went through Nickelodeon Studios before they tore it down, and they had murals all over the wall of Ren and Stimpy from the Space Madness episode.
Right.
Yeah, if you ever saw that, dude, that is amazing. Some of the murals that they had that all just got tore down.
Oh yeah, they don't care if it's not bringing in nickels anymore. Then that nobody puts value on history anymore. It's just making room for new stuff.
Right.
So I'm glad someone did take a video of it or pictures of it, and, just so future generations who might stumble onto the show and everything, they can get a little backlog on the history and stuff like that. 'Cause, that's interesting stuff. Not only the startup but the demise. It's all part of the same epic story.
Right, and it's all out there. Before I let you go, do you know anything about where Ren and Stimpy is at now? Like, I know that he's doing Cans Without Labels, but has there been any word about him ever getting Ren and Stimpy back together and putting out more new episodes at all?
Yeah, I think he's done with it. I think just because the scrutiny that he received on the Adult Party cartoon, I think he's ready to, move on with his Cans Without Labels deal. It's, you can only make so many Superman movies before,
Right.
He doesn't seem that super.
Well, at least we have, such a decent sized backlog.
That's why I tell people, even though I'm a real big Ren and Stimpy fan, I'm a Ren and Stimpy then fan, not a Ren and Stimpy now fan. So, not nobody likes the new Rolling Stones album. They like the old Rolling Stones shit. It's
Right.
You still pay attention and everything, but you're a fan of what captured you at that moment.
That's true. And you still buy the album, but who's sitting down listening to, the new songs?
Right. You'll cut that thing off halfway and go listen to some Brown Sugar.
All right, so Scotty Hoek, check out his YouTube channel. I know you have a Twitter. It's also at Scotty Hoek, but you're not too active on there, really.
No, I've got one follower, and it's Eric Balza.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah. So I guess really that's all I have for you, man. Thanks so much for calling in. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Oh no, thank you for having me. This was wicked fun for me.
All right. All right. So I guess we're gonna take a short break, and we'll be back after these messages.
With zone. the electric fence.
New amazing product!
Hi, kids. I start out my day with my favorite breakfast. That's right, sugar frosted milk. Smell those lumps. Just 4 ounces of lumps and 6 ounces of cereal makes for a balanced breakfast. And sugar frosted milk stays lumpy even in cereal. Morning, sis. Oh boy, sugar frosted lumps.